This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on Fit India movement under AZADI Ka AMRIT Mahotsav series. The participants are G. Rajaraman and Aditi Tandon, journalist.
The government marked the second anniversary of the Fit India movement yesterday, with Sports Minister Anurag Thakur launching a very important and crucial application, the Fit India application. And we all saw how he launched it. He himself skipped and showed his skipping skills on TV, and the video was viral, Mr. Rajaraman. As we all know that the Fit India movement is 2 years old. It was launched in 2019 by the Prime Minister. And it was said at the time of the launch that it will help India become fitter because we are a huge young population and we are increasingly facing the burden of lifestyle diseases. During these 2 years, how do you see the progress of Fit India movement, considering a number of sports stars and celebrities have come on board and fitness is gradually catching up? It is becoming fashionable.
All of India is realizing that this is a people's movement. It is not a government-driven program. It is a people-driven program. And the manner in which people have joined, whether it's schools or institutions and the celebrities, of course, I think at all levels, it has helped India become a more fit nation than it was even 2 years ago. I think this is a great way to ensure that India stays away from lifestyle diseases. I think there was a study some years ago that was alarming and which said that India could be the deepest of troubles in 2040. And therefore, I think the government has initiated this Fit India movement, making it a people's movement. And the way in which people have responded, whether in the urban areas or in the hinterland, I think it has been beautiful. Yes, of course, these are early days. We need to do a lot more to become a more healthy nation, a more fit nation and a more sports conscious nation. But I think those baby steps were needed. And after so many years, there has been a clarion call, and the manner in which it has become people's movement is something that we can all celebrate.
Also, it's a very good day to talk about this topic, Mr. Raj, because India Sumit until won a gold just now, a few moments ago, in men's javelin at the Tokyo Paralympics. And we are almost on the verge of creating history here also, after, of course, winning the largest haul of medals at the recently held Olympics at Tokyo. Isn't it very coincidental that suddenly, the Fit India movement and a very good show at the Olympics and now at the Paralympics and generally across sports events in the world are improvements in the sports sector also extremely important, and they come at a time when this consciousness around fitness is growing across the country. Do you see any link between the two?
As you pointed out, Aditi, this is a great coincidence, but such coincidences are always welcome. India's sports program has been very detached to the fitness program, but now I see that there is a conscious effort, not just by government, but also by individual entities and by corporate to weave it into the sports program. I think many companies have realized the importance of movement, the importance of fitness, and they have introduced their own trainers to their employees. I have known large companies to invest in movement specialists, and they are producing results. I think it is wonderful that sport is able to inspire the rest of society to become a lot more fit.
Mr. Raj, it must have something to do with the general political narrative around sports and fitness in the country, because you see the highest powers in the politics of the country are now suddenly giving a lot of importance to both these sectors. So, this symbolism which now comes with sports and fitness is also important in sending across a message. It is something like Prime Minister attaching his voice to the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan earlier, and then to a number of people-driven programs. All these programs eventually have to be owned by the community, isn't it?
When you are looking to create a movement which calls for behavioral changes and then ask everyone to be more physically active, it has to be a people-driven program. It cannot be imposed from the top, but it always helps that the leaders of the nation are speaking about it. And it's also important to realize that the healthcare sector can come under tremendous pressure in the years to come if you're going to face a lot of lifestyle diseases. And we have already seen it. There have been an alarming rise in heart issues, for example, or even in diabetes. I think what the government has realized is that prevention is better than cure. If you have a very healthy population, the chances of people needing hospitalization and medical care in 20 years' time is going to come down. I think the realization that health and fitness are synonymous, and therefore the government has sought a very active way promoting sport, promoting movement for people to then embrace it so that 20 years down the line, our healthcare facilities are not under stress. And I think it is a very smart move. The political leadership has been very good in terms of making it just a people's movement. In fact, there is no ministry that has got a budget for the Fit India movement. Of course, the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sport is driving it, but it is maybe just by way of facilitating it rather than actually driving it. And I think it is a great move for people to accept it, embrace it, and then own it. I think that is a terrific move from the government.
I think what you just said a while ago is extremely important. That's a very, very significant point you made, that the overall expenditure that we make on health has to be gradually reduced. And if India has to reap the benefits of being a young nation, reap the benefits of the demographic dividend, we have to do this. Recently there was a very comprehensive data set that was released by the Indian Council of Medical Research and the Public Health Foundation of India, which said that of the total disease burden in our country, 61% used to come from communicable diseases in 1990s. And this now dropped to 33% and taking the place of the non-communicable disease burden, which has risen to 55% now as against 30% in the 1990s. So look at the shift in the disease burden.
You look at obesity, for example. When you go to a school, you find a lot of kids who are not just overweight, but who are obese. You will see type 2 diabetes, you will see heart disease and cancer, of course. And how can I forget liver cirrhosis? There are lots of such problems that have risen in the past few years. The volumes have gone up, and I'm sure the doctors have been very concerned, and the thought leaders in the country have put their heads together and realized that if it's going to grow at this pace, then the healthcare industry is just not going to be equipped to deal with it. And I think the best way to do it is to stop people from being infected by such lifestyle diseases by making themselves open to having these diseases. I think the government has done well. They have very subtly told people that if you're fit, then you will not need those hospitalizations. You will not need those visits to the doctor as often as some people are doing now. I think it is very important for Indians in the urban areas especially to understand that lifestyle diseases can be very crippling. And so it's very important that there is a lot of activity that they do. There's a lot of physical movement that they do, and they expend a lot of calories and do it in a right manner. I think the app that the sports minister has launched yesterday is a step in the right direction. If it can provide guidance to people to be fit in a nice way rather than take pressure of lifting weights or doing exercises that are beyond them, I think it is very important that it is all done in a nice guided manner. And therefore, this app is going to be a very positive step in that direction.
We are now in a phase where work from home and study from home has become the new normal, Raj. And it is extremely important for parents and teachers also to look at alternative avenues of promoting fitness, because children are no longer hitting the playgrounds. Schools are yet to reopen. That whole energy of the school and the education system is still in the pandemic phase. How do you see this challenge? Because sitting at home, a number of our children, how do they actually remain fit? It is very difficult for parents also because they have to keep precautions. Every child has been told to wear a mask. So, it is a very tricky and a challenging time for children especially.
I think it is crucial for teachers to become the leaders of the fitness movement. They should encourage the children to take breaks after every 45 minutes, let's say. After every class, you give them 5 minutes to get up, go around the house, step, maybe count 100 steps or 150 steps, come back, stretch a little bit, and then sit down in the chair. If you're going to be sitting all day, say even for 4 hours or 6 hours, then it is not going to help you develop good habits in terms of fitness. I think it's important that teachers encourage children to take these breaks and to be physically active as well. And when you're physically active, the mind is also sharp. And therefore, I think teachers can play a big role in making the Fit India movement a bit more wider, a bit more acceptable, especially for students of a very young age. And it's important also for office goers. Most of the people are still working from home, and it's important for them as well to get up after every hour and go out for a little stroll, even within the house. Or if you live in a closed society, maybe go out for a 10-minute walk and come back and resume work. I think these are small things that we can do. We can use chairs as support for exercise. There are a number of movement specialists, exercise specialists who offer little tips. I think we will then become a lot fitter than we already are.
It is very important to inculcate this habit of fitness among children, considering a number of studies have recently shown that adolescents in the country are, skipping breakfast very often. There was a very interesting study by the Indian Council for Medical Research recently that revealed on an average breakfast was skipped for 10 days in a month by adolescents. 15 to 17-year-olds were covered. And more breakfast was skipped in rural India as compared to urban India, in fact. So you see, Raj, dietary habits and the salt and sugar intake issues and the junk food debate, I think all that also needs to go hand in hand with the fitness movement.
And that is probably the reason why the Fit India movement, if you go and look at the list of ambassadors or the list of icons that have been enrolled by the Fit India movement or even the Fit India champions, you will find a lot of dietitians and nutritionists incorporated in that. I think the involvement of sports science, I think the involvement of social scientists, I think the involvement of celebrities, all of this put together will make this a great movement. And I'm sure that in the next 5 or 7 years, we will see positive results. I long to see how we encourage people to cycle to work if the distance is less than 5 or 7 kilometers. If India can encourage people to take the bicycle and go out, offer them safe cycling lanes, ensure that those lanes remain free of other traffic, will enhance the value of fitness, will enhance the scope of India becoming a lot more fitter. But you're right, it is very important to pay attention to how we eat and what we eat. And therefore, I think the role of dietitians and nutritionists is big, and I'm sure they're playing whatever little role they can in enhancing greater awareness of what foods to take and what salt and sugar, how much sugar to have in the diet and all of it. Generally, it is accepted that Indian food there is a good balance in the Indian diet. But if the nutritionist can step in and encourage people to eat right, I think then we will make even faster progress than we already are doing at this point of time.
The point of biking that you made is very, very interesting, especially at a time when the world is debating climate change and everybody's talking of cutting carbon emissions. It reminds me of in Denmark, which is one of the leading countries of the world where biking has been encouraged. There are more bikes than actually people in the capital city of Denmark, and half the population goes to school or to work on the two wheels. But it is kind of a dream in Indian cities, isn't it, Raj? Because traffic is so congested, there are no laws on how many vehicles can people own, and there are issues with respect to urban design and infrastructure.
No question about that, Aditi. But it is never too late to incorporate all of that. I can see Delhi is making a push for cycle lanes, and I think it is important. I've seen it happen in other cities, but we need to ensure that those lanes are free of bikers, as in motorcyclists and scooters, or hawkers for that matter. It's important that we take it up as a national mission. I remember the Commonwealth Games in 2010, Aditi, there was this lane that was earmarked only for Commonwealth Games vehicles, and Delhi showed a lot of discipline. It was voluntary, nobody forced it. I think if we can bring that kind of discipline into our daily life and respect the cyclists, respect the space that they need, I think then we will ensure that a lot more people take to biking as a lifestyle fitness way to be fit rather than see it as natural transport mode. I think it's very important that India accepts cycling as a fitness device and encourages all of it.
We would need political leaders also start a movement around cycling and biking. Maybe that is the next step. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Aditi.
You were listening to a discussion on Fit India movement under AZADI Ka AMRIT Mahotsav series. The participants were G. Rajaraman and Aditi Tandon, journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.